Peak Earth. I'm Case Bradford. Thank you for tuning in to this episode with Josh Lekach. Josh is a co-founder of Sport Drink and a professional podcast host himself. I really enjoyed this conversation I had with him, learned a bit more about him and his perspectives and his story co-founding Sport Drink. It's a new electrolyte product, a new brand that is reviving some of the principles that Gatorade used when they first started. It's in a glass jar. Well, now it's in a tin jar. They reformulated and relaunched recently as of the time that I'm making this. I wanted to create, they sell out right away. So I wanted to create this podcast, publish it when they relaunched with new supply. And they're already one day into the relaunch, it's already sold out of the new orange flavor. You hear us talk about this a bit. If they are still in stock, you can use the link down below to save some money on Sport Drink if you'd like to try it. But I am fascinated by this electrolyte product. There's no natural flavors, no maltodextrin. It's very clean and potent. There's sugar, there's flavor from the actual lemon and lime. It's really cool. I like it a lot, so I wanted to connect with Josh to learn more about his story, why he started it, what he's up to, and it's cool. It's a great conversation that I learned a lot in, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. Hope you enjoy this one. If you'd like to contribute to Peak Earth, came up with a few ideas. One is to leave a 5-star review on the Apple app or the Spotify app. Those always help promote Peak Earth in the algorithm and always warms my gizzards. Another way is to share an episode on social media, out into the world wide web, whatever platform you like. That always makes me smile. And third way is to tell everyone you know to listen to this podcast. You tell them, just shake them, grab them by the cheeks. You say, listen to this podcast. It's pretty good, pretty cool. You like it. So I appreciate that too. So any of those three or none of them, it's all good. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. And without any more caffeine-fueled, mildly nonsensical ramblings from me, hope you enjoy this episode with Josh Lekach. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Stoked to connect with you. You've got a beautiful background behind you. That's not a fake background, is it?
Oh, it's real. Yeah, it's real. It's Costa Rica. It's right behind me. A lot of times, people do these shows very deceptive. I remember a few years ago, I was doing my show, and then people, haters, because it's political stuff. So I can take the hate, but they're like, look at you with your fake tan and your fake background. I'm like, the background's real, and because of that's real, that this is a real tan. So, I'm in Costa Rica.
Beautiful. Where in Costa Rica are you, if you're willing to share?
If you look on Reddit, the Costa Ricans, they themselves call Jaco Beach the armpit of Costa Rica. It's not like there's way better areas, people go to Santa Teresa or Uvita, or there's like a million really hip places going on in Costa Rica. And this is where the dregs of society go. I'm not one of those. I'm a family guy, but that's where they go. Because there's hookers and there's drugs and there's all these things. I heard gunshots last night, but I moved out here 3 years ago because my parents live here. And when my wife and I, when we had our first child, it was their first grandchild, and they suggested, we should maybe think about coming out here. And I didn't even think about it. Those kinds of big life decisions, people typically will make a list and pros and cons and all these things. And I was just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm for the generational household. You should be around your grandchild 24/7. So let's do it. So we've been here for 3 years. Yeah.
It's a popular place. I keep hearing about it more and more. Have never visited, but it really seems like a beautiful area to live.
Yeah, no, the country is beautiful. Look, there's a few things. The country is very beautiful. Surfing's great, and I surf. It's great. But you kind of, as an American, you kind of miss the drive of that you feel from other Americans. The can-do attitude, the wanting to do something, and people the motto here is pura vida, pure life, it's kind of like in Hawaii, aloha. And if you need anything to get done, if you need anything to get fixed, it's in Spanish they say ahorita, which is right away, which means like a week. So it's a nice country. It's beautiful, but I imagine the people who evolved here were always like that because you have fruit growing on the trees. You don't really need to do much. Like nature kind of takes care of you here, and it's not so hostile of an environment. But I like it's nice here, but I miss a lot of things about the United States.
I think about that sometimes, how the winter shaped people, especially winter, because that's like so different. You see a stark difference between people who evolve cultures that spring up around tropical areas versus more northern climates.
Yeah, and the thing is like my lineage, I'm basically Russian or Eastern European, you know, like I'm not supposed to be in this climate. I do feel dumb. Like a lot of the times I feel really dumb and slow and lethargic. And that's when it's like really, really hot. I do not do well in the heat. When I'm in the ocean, I'm revitalized. You know, when I'm in the ocean surfing or something, I'm revitalized. And I do believe grounding is a real thing. Like I believe that's real science. But when I'm just out in the heat, or right now the AC is broken in here, it's 89 degrees. I am dying. So if this is a low IQ performance by me today, I'm really sorry.
You got to get some electrolytes. I got some pretty great electrolytes here that I recently received. You might know a thing or two about Sport Drink.
Oh yeah, Sport Drink. I wish I co-founded that company. That would have been awesome. I ran out of Sport Drink, and my parents are in Miami right now, and they come back Sunday. So there's a jar waiting for me. They're bringing it back, and I'm excited. But the thing is, not only did I run out, but we just sold out. We sold out of Sport Drink, so there aren't many jars floating around right now. It definitely helps.
How many runs have you sold out now? Is this like 2 or 3 that you've?
Yeah, it's 3. It's 3 runs we've sold out. I think we've sold close to or about 600 jars without really any advertising. It's the I guess like sending it to you and then you posting about it. I guess that's a form of advertising, but we can't force you to post. You only posted because you liked it, you know. So It's pretty like it's a genuine. It's like a genuine kind of like post if you think about it. But we launched August 1st. And I consider this like a soft launch. So we launched August 1st. We've had 3 runs that have sold out. And so that's about 3 months. But in reality, we've only been selling for about a month and a half or so because the rest of the time we've just been sold out. And we were going to be replenished like last week. We were planning on having some in stock last week, but we want to take this opportunity of the downtime to do a few things. We want to completely fix the packaging. So I love the glass jar. I love it. But a few things are happening with the glass jar. Number 1, sometimes it's exploding in people's face when they open it for the first time because there's pressure building up in it from the sodium bicarbonate and the other ingredients interacting with one another. So we want to fix that. The other thing is that since we don't use any flowing agents, any drying agents like maltodextrin or silicon dioxide, this is the thing, like people don't even realize, like you could find like the cleanest product, the people who purport themselves to be the cleanest product, and I'm not going to name names, but they all use artificial flavors. They all use silicon dioxide or maltodextrin, which is maltodextrin is not good. No matter how organic they say it is, their version is, it's not good. And we wanted to avoid all those things. So the second thing that we ran into was that because of the glass jar and because of the weight and the pressure, the bottom portion gets kind of hard for a lot of people. and it kind of solidifies. That doesn't mean it went bad. The ingredients don't go bad, but it's not a good like experience, I guess, for people. And the mouth of the jar is kind of too small to like get your hand in there and like really like stab the electrolyte powder with like a fork or a spoon to break it up. So we were like, okay, we sold out. We want to take the time to like figure out new packaging, and then also like spruce up the website. You know, we've learned a lot. We've learned what information is important, what isn't important. We want to like make that experience better. We want to make the whole thing better. So we were toying around with the idea of remember like 100 years ago, we weren't alive, but remember how flour used to be in cotton bags.
Yes.
Before any, yeah. So they used to sell flour in cotton bags, and we were like, how crazy would it be if we just sold our electrolyte powder in cotton bags? That'd be incredible. And then it would be sewn shut. It would be really cool. It would be really cool looking. Yeah. We were literally about to pull the trigger on an order for I don't know how many yards of cotton, and we were going to sew it ourselves. And then I got a random DM from someone that's like, hey, I heard you on your show mention that you're going to do new packaging. I want to suggest tin, like a tin. And, you know, I'm in this field. I'm not selling you anything. He wasn't selling me his services or anything, but he's like, I just think that's the route you should go. And I told my wife that, and she's like, I literally suggested that to you. But the thing is that when women talk, you as a man, like the most you can listen is 50% of the time. You know, you just can't devote 100% of the time. So I don't remember her saying that, but I believe her. And she's like, and you're listening to some random guy you don't know online? Yes. So we we are gonna do the tin can, and the thing is that we were thinking about the cotton bag because if it does solidify, you can like squeeze the bag and break it up like that. But the positive of the tin can is it's scalable. Like the cotton bag would just not have been scalable. So if we're selling rather than 600 jars in 3 months, but we're selling 600 jars every few weeks, it's not feasible to just keep sewing these bags. And no factory, when we eventually do go into factories, no factory will be able to do that for us. So I don't want to screw myself over in the future. So the tin can seems good. I think it's still going to get compacted on the bottom, but the mouth will be wide enough where you can easily break up the electrolyte. And in the new label, we're going to say it does clump up, and that's a feature. That's not a defect. It's a feature because we don't use XYZ.
I really enjoy this product. Electrolyte's amazing product that I've really been booming in the past 5, maybe 10 years. That I don't know how I ever stayed hydrated before these things.
That's the thing. I mean, well. I'm with you because I used to play ice hockey, and I do know that when I was on the ice, I was only drinking water because sometimes I'd spray it on my face. And you don't want to get that on your equipment. You don't want, if you had like Gatorade in there or whatever, you don't want to get that all over yourself. Yeah. And and then I boxed a little bit. I don't remember what I really drank. I do remember when Liquid IV first came out, I bought into their thing, hydration multiplier. That sounds really cool, But then I eventually was like, I don't really like this. Oh, I'll try LMNT. LMNT's good. I'll try that. And they all kind of like stuck with me, but for a little bit, a short period of time. And the thing is that I'm confident in saying that we're the best one out there because for some reason over the past 50 years, sugar has been completely demonized. And especially when you're really, really active. And even when you're sleeping, I mean, your body needs glucose. You need sugar. So this thing like where it's like it's a point of theirs to make that like, oh, no sugar, zero sugar. It's like, but sugar's not bad. I'm I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure everyone got diabetes because of seed oils and not sugar. Like everyone in the 1950s, they were all at soda shops, like soda shops, and having their burgers and fries, which were fried in tallow, and milkshakes and all these things. Like a year ago or a year and a half ago, I figured out on my own. The Atlantic wrote an article that was about how ice cream is good for you, and that Harvard scientists found out in 2018 that ice cream is good for you, but they never released that information because it just didn't feel right. But a year and a half ago or so, I figured out on my own that ice cream is good for you because I was eating some before I went to sleep. And then I'd wake up and I'd tell my wife then that I'm like, I slept amazing. I slept really good. And I'd tell her, I'm like, that means ice cream's good for you. And she goes, no, it's not. It's not good for you. I'm like, no, it does. Because like if I would have slept horribly, like that would mean that it's not good for me. And that's how I operate. Like I follow you and I follow Noah Ryan or Sobra. Like there's a bunch of guys out there putting out amazing information. You guys actually do the homework. You guys like know the science behind things. You guys know all these things. And for me, I instinctively follow you guys, but I don't retain any information. And my whole thing is like, no, ice cream's good. I'm like in the bell curve, like there's the geniuses and then the midwits and then like I don't know if I could say the R word, but like really dumb people. I'm there. I just go with my instinct, and my instinct is like ice cream's good for you because I feel really good. Steak is good for you because I feel really good eating steak. The sun is good for you because every time I go into the sun, I feel really, really good. And it hasn't steered me wrong, So, we with the electrolyte powder, there's a few things we want to highlight that sugar is like one of the features, like we're awesome because we have like the cleanest ingredients plus really high quality sugar, which you do need. And you're not going to get diabetes from it. And it's going to help you with your workouts and all that. And you're right. I mean, drinking water by itself, it does nothing. And back to the instinctual thing. My son is 3.5. And we send him 3 times a week. There's like a Montessori forest school where he goes for like 4 hours and they just like run around outside. And we send him with food and water. And we notice that the water is full when he comes back home. And it's hot and he's running around, but he doesn't care for the water. But whenever we put sport drink in there, he drank the whole thing. It's empty because his body he knows he needs that, and that's kind of it. Like our ingredients we're transparent as to what they are. We're not hiding anything. A lot of the brands like LMNT and all that, they don't need to say that they have maltodextrin or anything. Because it's like so little, so they legally don't need to say that, and a lot of them don't. But they all have that stuff. You can't make your own LMNT at home. Like if you're like, oh, I'll just buy those ingredients and make it myself, you won't be able to. It won't be the same consistency. It won't be the same, especially if you try to replicate their artificial flavors. Like you can't do that on your own. But if you really wanted to, you could replicate the ingredients that we put out there. The thing is that like any product, it's you're buying convenience. So you can make your own sport drink. The ingredients are out there. You can make it. And I welcome anyone to do that because it's better than drinking water. But we're selling convenience and the right measurements, honestly.
Beautiful. And I love that story of your son illuminating the instinct of wanting to be hydrated and knowing that the water isn't really making that happen. And a great example of this is a study that I've seen a bunch of times where they're showing what fluids are the most hydrating ones, and milk is often the most hydrating. And you think about, well, what is in milk? You've got sugar, you've got minerals.
Yep.
You've also got protein and fat, but in sport drink, you've got somewhat similar to milk, where you've got sugars, you've got minerals, and you've got some flavor. And it really is so much more delicious. And it's It's interesting. I'm actually more aligned with you in terms of understanding reality. Like I'm not that into the science. I like to let my experience guide me. And if something is delicious and if something is tasty, is that really against like that comes down to a really fundamental belief about like how you think reality is situated.
Yeah. I mean, look, a bag of Doritos is tasty, but it's tasty because their weird science makes it tasty and highly addictive. But when you have single ingredients, or even ice cream, I mean, like the best quality ice cream I can get out here is Haagen-Dazs. And even Haagen-Dazs, it's totally fine. Like if you just get the vanilla, it's 4 ingredients. So it's 4 ingredients that your body is like, we need this. We're going to make you feel so good to signal to you that we need this. And you're absolutely right about milk, because my son, so my brother and my parents, like we have a water buffalo farm, and we'll get raw milk a few times a week from the farm. And it's pretty gamey sometimes, but it's very healthy. My son, all he drinks is either lemon water, sport drink, or milk. He doesn't like water by itself, or orange juice. He likes orange juice as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't know how I survived back in the day when the electrolyte powder craze wasn't really hitting yet. And I don't know. You know what's funny is like hydration in general has become massive over the past like 10 years or so. And it's been infiltrated by bad actors. Like you can get electrolyte powder that's like co-branded with like Skittles, you know? You ever see those water of the day videos on TikTok? It's always fat people. Dude, it's always really, really fat people like saying, come with me to make my water or whatever. I don't know how they start their videos. And it like, make my water. What are you talking about? But they have like a whole tub of like all these electrolyte powders. And then you can do Sour Patch or Skittles or Capri Sun or what's the one? Kool-Aid. You know, you could do all these things. And like they make a concoction with all these powders, and it's like you just found another creative way to poison yourself. I mean, that's all you did. So hydration is super important, but again, it's completely been infiltrated and dominated by bad actors. The thing is I wanted to start a company that sold a quality product, like something real, because for the past 5 years I've been doing a podcast, and that's how I make my living. And I've kind of plateaued mentally there. Like I'm not fulfilled, and I have 2 children, and I want to make more babies, and I want to, you know, build a robust, good company. And the thing is like what people don't realize is like making a company that sells something that is bad and bad for you is lazy, and it's like the way of the past. Right now we have an opportunity, because of all the knowledge we have at our fingertips. We have the opportunity to make money, but feel good about the way you're making money, like helping others. And there's a reason why, like Robert Kennedy, there's a reason why his message is resonating with Americans. I think 50 years or 60 years of rampant obesity and diabetes and cancer, I think people are fed up. And you don't need the majority of the population to be fed up. You don't even need 5% of the population to be fed up. You need 1% of the population to be fed up. Because if 1% of the population is fed up, then that's who's the loudest. And that's the amount of people it takes to actually enact change. And the people who are fattening themselves up or doing their water of the day videos with like their weird concoctions of terrible things, those people don't ever need to learn. They don't ever need to learn about like why seed oils are bad and why animal fats are good and why sugar's not bad actually. They don't need to learn about anything. They are going to follow the crowd. And when the crowd, which is just 1% of the population, when they're fed up, which I think we're there now, I think that it's going to just result in like a better outcome for everyone. And that's why you see a lot of brands like ours popping up. You have Van Man, you have the Masa chips, you have Greco gum, you have all of these brands popping up, and they're succeeding like crazy. Whereas 20 years ago, it would have been impossible. No one would have cared. And even the health of America 20 years ago wasn't even as bad as it is now. I mean, like whenever I travel in the United States, whatever airport I'm at, you're seeing really, really unhealthy people. Really, like it's incredible how we've let ourselves go and how passive and complacent we've become. But I think we're seeing the worst. I think it's just going to get better, honestly.
That's a great point. And I want to find this one statistic I saw just the other day because it's fascinating. And I do want to circle back and focus on
rambled. Yeah, I rambled.
That was a great riff. There's a lot there that was powerful. And I felt that there's something that is going to add to this. But first, I want to talk about sugar being good because that's definitely going to set some people's alarms off and they're going to want to learn more about this. The place I've landed on this after initially thinking sugar was poison, which is a popular meme. That's an idea that has really caught hold. Sugar's poison. Sugar's toxic. It's a drug. And then that gets people confused. Like, okay, what about fruit? Well, what about high fructose corn syrup? What about cane sugar? There's a lot of different forms of sugar. And the way I've found it out is like, well, if you're healthy, if you're nourished, sugar is really just like neutral, essentially. You know, you don't have to go crazy with it. You just eat it intuitively, enjoy it. It's not going to have much of an impact either way. And I have found that in the context of hydration, in the context of physical fitness and activity, it's definitely supportive.
Yeah, look, you know, they say sugar's as addicting as cocaine and all that. Maybe cocaine in its purest form is maybe not that bad for you. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but maybe it's not. I don't know. And it's pure. The cocoa leaves. You know, like in the purest form, it's probably good for you. I mean, especially when you're in high altitude. But sugar is a very efficient way of getting energy, and even you need it even when you sleep. The reason why you sleep well with eating ice cream before bed is because it has the energy your brain needs. Your brain consumes more glucose when you're sleeping than when you're awake, if I'm not mistaken. And the fats, the animal fats, it helps you. It makes it like a slow release. So it's like your ice cream, really high quality ice cream, doesn't spike up your blood sugar and then you don't crash after. It's like a gradual, extended release, and that's why you sleep really well with it. But they say sugar's addictive. I don't see it with me. You know that brand Fever Tree, the soda brand Fever Tree?
I haven't heard of it.
It's like it comes in a glass bottle and it's not that big. They market themselves as like mixers for alcohol, but they have their version of Coca-Cola. They have like a ginger ale. They have, you know, and I drink those all the time now. Maybe one a day. The ginger ale one. And I haven't noticed anything in my health, any negative effects from like reintroducing just a little bit more sugar, you know, at all. I have not noticed anything. And also back to what I was saying regarding the addictiveness of it, I don't believe it. I'll give you an example. I don't believe it because I don't overeat. I don't overindulge myself. I'm pretty much stuck at like I have 2 meals a day and I don't even snack. You know, when I did snack, I mean, especially before having kids, when you have time on your hands, I snacked when I was eating seed oils. I was overindulging when I had seed oils. I felt the addiction when I had seed oils. It's almost like the blame is on sugar, but in reality, the problem is the seed oils.
100%.
And the thing is like, it's such an easy thing to cut out because it's in everything that's bad. Like everything that's bad has seed oils. So if you just say, okay, you know what? I don't know if the seed oils are actually bad for me. I don't know if I believe in the science. Still cut it out, cut anything that has the seed oils out, and you're not going to feel that like addictive craving to food. I do not feel addicted to food at all. Another example is what I imagine the blame nicotine is getting. Nicotine is something that is really good for your brain. It's not just a nootropic. Like if you have a predisposition to like dementia or Alzheimer's or any of those kinds of things, nicotine will protect you. It's good, and besides it being good for testosterone and all that, it will protect you. So nicotine is the chemical that got the blame regarding cigarettes when and the reason it did was because it was like a way to RICO law all the cigarette brands. It was the common chemical that was in all of the cigarette brands because everyone had like the different kinds of poisons they were putting. So if they just pinned it on the nicotine, because all cigarettes have nicotine, then that's how we punish all the cigarette companies at once. And in reality, what makes like cigarettes addicting, sorry, it's not the nicotine. It's not the nicotine. It's the rat poison. It's all of the chemicals that they add into it, you know, that no one talks about. And it's the same thing with sugar. Like they're going to be like a Krispy Kreme donut is bad for you because it has sugar. And it's like, what? No, it has like 8 grams of sugar. Look at the other ingredients. It's a laundry list of ingredients of things that you can't pronounce. Those are the things that are killing you. It's not the sugar. You're not getting diabetes because of the sugar. It's you know what's sorry, another thing. You know what it's like? They're like, "Oh, eggs, they have high cholesterol. That's what's giving you high cholesterol." It's like, "No. That's not what's doing it." It's not the cholesterol. You need that. Your brain needs that to function. It's almost like everything that your brain needs to properly function. They're like, "Hey, don't eat that. That's bad. We don't want your brain to be functioning optimally. Don't eat that." So
That's
I don't
funny.
know. Look, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a guy.
I agree with what you're saying and where you're going. And just to bring this sort of full circle with the obesity, everyone thinks there are a lot of people might think that was a sugar caused problem. But if you look at 1985, not a single state had obesity levels over 20%. Now every state has it over 20%. And the thinnest state in America is now fattest than the fattest state in America was in 1985. Meanwhile, the sugar consumption has gone down since 2000. It went up and then down and really crashed once the public was made aware, hey, sugar's bad. Soda consumption plummeted. Sugar consumption has gone down, yet obesity continues to rise.
Yeah, the thing is that it's not only the seed oils, but it's the fake sugars, or the heavily processed ones, high fructose corn syrup. That's a new invention. Your body doesn't metabolize it very well. Your body doesn't metabolize stevia very well either, by the way. Or aspartame or any of it, or what's it called? There's one called like a new one called like allicitone.
Oh, allulose.
Yeah, which they're like, oh, this one's going to be the good one. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Your body knows how to metabolize sugar well. It's like super efficient for everything. Like, your body knows what it is. It's familiar with it. We crave it because we need it. And it's like a super efficient way to get energy. It's the same way that a piece of steak is an efficient way to fulfill your needs for protein or all the amino acids. Whereas like a vegan will be like, yeah, but you can get the same amount of protein with this and this and this. It's like, okay, yeah. First of all, heavily processed. Second of all, you're asking me to eat more food. like way more food. It's going to take me way longer to nourish myself. And that's even if like my body will, what's it called? Even be able to get those amino acids from those foods. Like all I'm saying is that it's efficient, like meat, and your body knows what it is.
Yep. And you know, there's some interesting conversation around region or area and the sunlight that you're receiving and the foods that you should be having. For example, there are some who argue if you are living in a sunny area, sugar is easier to metabolize versus if you're living north where there would be less fruit, less sugar available. Maybe those people should be eating more of a carnivore keto approach during the winter. And then where it's sunnier, then more sugar, more fruit. What do you think of that sort of style of thinking about it?
I think it. I don't know much about it, obviously, but it sounds like it makes sense because if you think about it, if you're out in a colder environment, especially during the winter, you probably aren't going to move around as much. You're probably you're like out here. I mean, I go to the gym and I'll lift, and it's like there's no AC. It's open air, you know. I don't even really do cardio at the gym, and it feels like I'm doing cardio. Like the amount of energy you're expelling is probably more than if you were kind of a little bit more sedentary during the winter months, you know? Like there's a reason why bears kind of don't move around a lot during the winter. I think it's actually a misconception. I don't think bears actually sleep for like 6 months, but they definitely move around way, 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 way less. And I think humans are probably the same. And it's probably not that bad, you know? But you're not going to need to consume as much, I don't think.
That's
Maybe
true.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like eating tropical fruits or like importing a lot of fruit to northern regions. And some people argue, I shouldn't be eating bananas if you live in New England, but I think that's maybe a little bit overthinking. Some people get really carried away with nutrition and have a tendency to overthink.
You know what? It's a religion. It's so weird. It's a religion. Like a lot of people, I'm 38. When I was younger, I was like, atheism was popular. I never really considered myself that, but what I never took into account is that for some reason it's innate in humans to want to worship. It's innate. And maybe that's proof that there is a creator. The fact that like it's in us to want to do that. So it's funny, like you make nutrition your religion, and especially if like that person's an atheist, it's like you just joined a new religion, dude. Like, and it's like a new one too. You know, what about the ones that have been around for thousands of years? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the people in the sphere, you know, like in the esoteric health sphere. I really like a lot of what they say, but the one thing that I think is bad is when like the leaders. I'll use Solbra as an example. I think he's great. We follow him. I found him when he had like 10,000 followers, you know. I think he's awesome. And I don't know what his personal beliefs are, but one of the maybe like not appealing things that he and other people like him do is they make being healthy seem really, really hard, because they kind of make it seem like we're very fragile as people. Like I don't wear the AirPods, you know, I don't wear AirPods. But if you know, like they'll talk about how like the EMF is bad, it's going to scramble your brains, and you need blue blockers. You need to wear blue blockers all the time. We're in front of screens too much. Like, yeah, I get it. We probably are. And the EMFs it's probably not really good for your brain, but they really, really like lean into it. You need to be grounding. Your bed needs to be grounding. Not only do you need to be grounding, but your bed needs to be plugged into the thing to be grounding. And then I'm like, okay, you kind of lost me. I don't really know what you're talking about. And for the normies out there who find you, you're going to make this seem really, really hard to do, but it's not. We can go back to like sport drink, the electrolyte stuff. Like you guys, you can make it yourself. It's potassium, magnesium, sodium bicarbonate, Dead Sea salt, and you can flavor it however you want. That's it. And add sugar. Don't forget sugar. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard to be healthy. It's not hard. And there's like levels to it, you know, like oh, I saw that. Was it you that promoted that it's like an iPad that like doesn't have any blue light? That sounds that's all that's your friend?
It's so my friend Tristan, he got involved in the company early on. It's a Daylight Computer is the name of it.
Yeah, dude, that looks cool. That's like an example of like a company that's super interesting to me. And also not like making health seem hard, but it does like it solves a problem that others are ignoring, and their product seems like absolutely incredible. And I was looking at prices because I wanted to get my wife a Kindle, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I wish, but I can't do that. But I wish them the best.
It is within the vein of those other products you mentioned, the Van Man, the Masa Chips, the Sport Drink, this new wave of products that are recognizing how can we iterate, how can we innovate and evolve the tools that we're using as humans to make them more harmonious with our state of being and our health, because there a lot is falling apart and collapsing, but there are better ways. We have the solutions at hand. And there's one aspect of Sport Drink I'm curious about, because I know there's no natural flavors, which is often just could be thousands. Like when you see natural flavors on basically every product, it can be like this strange chemical concoction coming from a beaver's anus, and yours is from organic lemon and lime powder. How'd you go about, like, what is that exactly?
Okay, so it took us like 6 months. Okay, originally, because we couldn't find a lemon and lime powder that didn't have maltodextrin or silicon dioxide, we were like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to make it ourselves. So we bought a $2,000 freeze drying machine, and we loaded it up with lemon and lime for like 48 hours or something. And I don't know how many pounds of lemon and lime we used. Like, it would have yielded like this much powder. Like, it would have been nothing. And not only that, but it was gummy. It was gummy. It was terrible. And we wasted months. We wasted months on that. So it took us for a long time. We finally found a company that exists that it's like their proprietary technology to crystallize. So it's literally from the fruit. It's literally from the lemon and lime and the orange. We're launching orange in a few weeks when we restock. They literally are able to crystallize the fruit. So it's the fruit. When we were looking into contract manufacturers, when we were thinking about raising money and thinking about like making 5,000 jars at a time, pretty much everyone we went to was like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome, but you have to use our ingredients and you're beholden to us. And then I was like, okay, well, what is like your lemon and lime? What's that? What would that be? And they're like, oh, that's natural flavors. And I'm like, okay, but what is natural flavor? What is that? And they're like, well, it's derived from things that exist in nature to make it taste like the thing that you want it to taste like. And I'm like, that is way too vague for me. I don't know what that means. So not only are artificial flavors bad, I'll give you an example. My brother and my dad was in the fragrance industry, and I don't wear fragrance because they're endocrine disruptors. I don't like it. But my dad was in the fragrance industry. My brother is in it right now. The same company that you go to be like, hey, make me this and this scent. Those are the same company, literally the same companies that make artificial flavorings. So the perfumes that people wear, or the Febreze, or the plugins into the walls, all that shit. That those companies are the same ones that make your food taste like whatever it's supposed to taste like. So it took us a long time to source the flavoring from a company that literally just crystallizes with their proprietary technology the fruit. That's all it is. And that's why our powder hardens up and clumps up, because we don't use the maltodextrin or silicon dioxide, the flowing agents. We don't use any of that stuff. So any little bit of moisture, like there's moisture in the air, like there's moisture everywhere. Any little bit of moisture that like touches the powder, it like has a reaction because it's real,
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully answered you. I'm sorry if I didn't.
That's a great description. And just for everyone listening, when I said natural flavors could come from a beaver's anus, that's actually real. You can Google vanilla flavor often can be derived from random animal parts, or pine cones are a popular way to create natural vanilla, because vanilla is very expensive. Like a vanilla bean is $9. Yeah, there's no way these companies are using actual real vanilla beans at scale, so they have to use things like pine cones or odds and ends to just like, oh, this kind of tastes like vanilla, let's synthesize it into something that can be put into products at scale. And that's natural flavors are very bizarre.
Very bizarre. I want to meet the guy who figured out the vanilla from a beaver's anus. What did you do? What did you do to figure that out? What unspeakable. What did you do? Honey, I did it. Honey, I figured it out. I figured out how to get vanilla. I can't tell you, though. I can't tell you how I figured it out. I cannot tell you.
He's probably pretty wealthy now. That was a profitable discovery for him.
I know, but the things he had to do, it's like the things that P. Diddy had to do, It's just the things you had to do. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave that one for the mysteries of history. And
yes,
at least what we have here is something far superior, created from the actual lemon and lime that has been added to this. And you do taste it. It's flavorful. And I know from a friend who was making stuff for the reasons you outlined. He was getting the minerals, making the mix by himself, and he's like, yeah, it works really great, but it's potent. You can taste it. So the little bit of flavoring definitely goes a long way.
Yeah, the flavoring and the sugar. It works. It works really well together. Yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait for orange is really good. I like that. Orange is good. I think people will like it. We have other ideas for the future, but we got to go little by little.
Is the vision?
Wait, you want to know? You want to know how? Oh, sorry to cut you off, but you want to know how, like, to prove to you guys that the fruit is real? We were going to launch watermelon. We were going to do watermelon next, but for some reason, their watermelon powder is way more expensive. Way more. It must be harder to make watermelon powder for them. Because they're using it's just watermelon. They're just using watermelon. And the fruit is also more expensive than like oranges or lemon and lime. So the prices fluctuate depending on the type of fruit that they use. So we were going to do that, but then we saw it was like triple or quadruple the price. And we were like, oh shit, we can't like all of a sudden just come out with a product that's the same amount of electrolyte powder that's like double the price, or So yeah, it's a legit source.
Wow. I wonder what. I guess it would be just based on the part of it would be based on the fruit, and then I guess the process itself of creating it is maybe a little bit different if it's watermelon. Who knows? It's a tough one.
Yeah. But, we're going to do other things too in the future. We'll do sport cream. I don't know. We'll do other things. We wanted to launch with like the generic name sport drink, because we want to be what people think about when they think about sport drinks, like you can't trademark ginger ale. But when you think about ginger ale, I mean, you think about Canada Dry ginger ale,
Yep.
Super generic. I don't know.
Was this the original Gatorade formula? Because I know Gatorade now very much bastardized and just like total sludge.
So that's the idea. Originally, I don't know if I said it on this podcast or if I mentioned in a conversation earlier, because I was talking to someone about sport drink earlier. But I came up with this idea because I did want to make a company and that sold something high quality that like replicated basically like what Van Man did for skincare and all that. And I posted on my Instagram, and I'm like, it's never been easier to make something that's good for you. That's like a brand that's replicating a brand you like, but that's evil and that's poisoning you, and just making the artisanal good version. And I posted that on my Instagram, and my friend was like, dude, that's a great idea. We should do that. And I said, yeah, I mean, we'll do what Gatorade did in the beginning. And that's why we didn't shy away from sugar. We'll do what Gatorade did in the beginning, and we looked up the ingredients. The ingredients were pretty much awesome. And that's how we moved forward. But my co-founder, he's another Josh. He kind of tinkered with the formula and actually improved on it. So the base was original Gatorade, but then we added to it and improved it. Like for instance, adding sodium bicarbonate, which Gatorade I don't think I've ever had.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely effective. I can see it becoming much more popular. So hopefully you guys will be able to create higher quantities for the incoming demand, which I know is going to be becoming, no question. Is that something that's within the realm? Are there big bottlenecks with the current process of creating this stuff, since it's so high quality?
Yeah. So the 3 or 4 batches we've done, we've been producing it out of my co-founder's garage. It sounds so shady, but we like made an assembly line in his garage, and at the beginning it was just us 3 putting it all together and all that. So each batch would yield like close to 200 jars or something. And moving forward, especially with the tin cans, where we think we found a manufacturer actually in Los Angeles that can do it and fulfill it for us. So hopefully, we'll be pumping out like 200 or 300 at a time. But since we have found our rhythm, and especially if we found this manufacturer in LA, I think that we'll just be able to grow rapidly with like the demand,
Yeah, I think so too. It's one of those products that once you try, it's absolutely awesome, and the new packaging is going to be great. The plastic-free packaging is a big deal. One of those things that has infiltrated all of our bodies, just microplastics. So steering away from that every way that we can is going to be a big part of the coming future. And the branding is great as well. I love the art that you've got on there.
Yeah,
just the entire aesthetic is cool.
Yeah, that's our other minority owner. He doesn't like me saying his name, so I won't. But a lot of online right wingers will know who he is if I said, but I don't want to say. And he's super talented. So he's one of the owners with us, and yeah, he's awesome. But dude, like the plastic thing, we intentionally avoided plastic, and then we were before landing on the tin, and before we even thought of the cotton bags, like every eco-friendly or so-called eco-friendly bag that you could put this in, they all still use plastic. But there's ways to be like eco-friendly. But it's recycled. It's recycled plastic. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. Even if microplastics, let's say like microplastics weren't a thing, because none of us knew about microplastics like 5 years ago. It's nothing we ever thought of. plastic is unpleasant aesthetically. It's unpleasant. It's a menace to humanity. It's in the oceans. It's everywhere. Like, it's ugly. It's it's like the worst thing we've ever created. I would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to say it here. It's worse than the atomic bomb. It's worse. Plastic is worse. Sorry, but it's worse. It ruined everything. Dude, it ruined cars. You know? Like, if you touch a car, it's plastic. It's all plastic. Everything's plastic. It's all garbage. It's
if you think of, it's mind blowing to think about it at scale. How it's just like it's littered the land, it's littered the oceans. It's just everything is made. There's houses are made of plastic. Grass is plastic these days. Clothes are made of polyester plastic. For the most part, there's just plastic everywhere. It's just like becoming more and more prevalent. It's wild,
dude. You know what it is? 100 years ago, they're like, holy shit, we can make this material out of petroleum, and it's light, and it's clean, and and I guess for certain things it's good. I prefer glass. Maybe for certain packaging it's okay. I don't know. I'm not going to concede to that, but it was invented like 100 years ago, and it's complete trash. But then it became a nuisance. Like, it's almost like we got addicted to creating it, and we're like, oh my God, look how easy it is, and it's fucking everywhere. And then everyone realized, like, holy shit, it's everywhere in our landfills. We're up to our eyeballs in plastic. Like, what the fuck do we do with it? And someone was like, hey, we can spin it. We can literally spin it into synthetic material that, like, you can convince people to wear. You can fucking convince people to wear plastic. And you know what it is? It's the same as fluoridated water. It's the same thing. Fluoridated water was like, China has all this like fluoride. They don't know what the fuck to do with that. And then America's like, hey, we'll take that off your hands. If you pay us, we'll take it from you. We'll put it in our water, and boom, it's gone. So it's like, oh, what are we? There's plastic everywhere. What are we doing with all this plastic? Hey, I got an idea. I'll take it off your hands. We'll put it in clothing. We'll put it in pillows. We'll put it in like children's plush dolls. We'll put it everywhere. And it's like, every time there's a thing that we think is awesome, we trick ourselves, and then we're like, we have way too much of this chemical. What do we do with it? And then someone's like, hey, we'll put it in the food supply. We'll make people eat it. Red 40 is oil. We'll make people eat petroleum or chew gum. We'll make people chew plastic. Like, it's all garbage. So yeah, we don't use plastic. So basically, that's all to say, we don't use plastic.
That's one of my favorite parts about it, is, to be honest, just because it really makes it stand out that it's in glass, or next iteration will be in tin. Also great. So it's very cool, and I hope that it inspires more brands to do the same. And overall, just an amazing product. And I love learning more about the story behind it, and appreciate all the energy and the creativity that you've put into it. It's really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. If you want to have a more technical conversation, like especially about the ingredients and all that, Josh K, the other co-founder, he would be great. Very monotone. He's a very monotone guy, but he's very smart, and he can go more in depth into those interesting things, especially like scientifically and all that. I guess I'm maybe more of like the Donald Trump of this operation.
I will reach out to him. I know he's around here. We've connected. Actually, I met him in person.
Yeah.
I think a year ago, randomly, and hoping to reconnect, and we'll dive deeper into that in the future.
I think you guys met maybe at like a Soul Bra thing, because he did his clothing before this.
Yep. Yeah, I remember he was talking about working on the cotton shorts, and he had been living in Silver Lake at the time, and had just had his son with no vaccinations, and was talking about how energetic and healthy his son was compared to some of the peers that had gone through with all the vaccination processes. It was very, very interesting. I'd like to know more all about that, and hopefully.
Oh yeah, dude. The thing I can say about that is, because I'm in the same boat. Like, I actually love that COVID happened because I would have never, like, I never was anti-vax. I never thought about it. And then when they pushed it on everyone, I was like, I don't trust you or anything you've ever peddled. So none of my kids are vaccinated.
It woke up so many people to so many things.
So many people. Yeah. They had me. All you guys had to do was play it cool, keep everything under the radar, play it cool. But then they extended their hand. They overplayed their hand. And I don't like you guys anymore. But you all had me. I had a plastic toothbrush. I had the fluoridated toothpaste. I had it all, and you lost me. And you know what? You're losing everyone else. And I guess that's where we'll end it if you want to end it.
Perfect spot to conclude. We're coming. They had us. They lost us. Now we're coming for revenge with whole new world we're building.
Yes.
And really appreciate the chance to connect with you. And that was awesome. Josh Lekach, thank you.
Thank you for having me.